Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Welcome into the Steelers Talk live show. I am your host, Jack Sperry. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. I know it's not our usual live day, guys, but short week here, Thursday game against the Carolina Panthers in the preseason finale means that we have to switch things up just a little bit today. But we do have some great Steelers content coming your way here throughout the next hour or so. This is a great opportunity for you guys to get your Steelers questions answered on the show as well. So I want to see who the real ones are down there in the comments section. Spam those me's in the chat if you've liked the stream for a shout out. Of course, as always, I am joined by our producer, Mr. Ponzi. Ponzi, how we doing here on a Tuesday?
We're doing great. Another live show, another day, another dollar.
Another dollar here on Steelers Talk. Of course, we got my lovely fiance, Cassie Voth, finally home after a number of different trips. She took 2 weeks in Columbia, Missouri, and then just got back from Minnesota doing some wedding stuff.
All the way.
It's great to have Cassie back home. We got Hat Guy LT's in here. We got Joe. We got Javon. We've got Steelers Dad. We got Chris Bova. Alex Lanier is here. We got Darnell Collier. Brian. We got Fluvin. Jason. Elliott. We got Madden God in here. We've got Steven. We got Domos. We got Dwayne Johnson. Got Zayden, got Steven, got Jordan, Steven, Jason, CJ Ross is here, DJ KJ's here, Robert Maxwell's here. Good to see you, Robert. We got Opa Jim, got Brian, we got Andrel. I hope I'm saying that right. Andrel. We got Michael, we got Brian03, we got Michael, we got Rosie. We got a good crew of Steelers fans ready to talk some Steelers football today, man. Got some big stuff to talk about in our news and rumors segment coming up later in today's show. But first, Ponzi, let's talk about the offensive line heading into the year here and our confidence level in that group heading into the season. I'm feeling pretty decent heading into the year, and I think something that people are forgetting when it comes to this group is that you can pretty much include Darnell Washington in this group on early downs because he's going to be out there so much as an extra run blocker. And when you have essentially an extra offensive lineman out there, I think right now there's a lot of negativity surrounding the run game when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I think when we get in stadium, week 1 versus the New York Jets, it's just going to be tough for these opposing defenses to match up against essentially a 6-man offensive line the Steelers are going to have this year.
I mean, it's incredible to have a tight end like Darnell Washington just because how big he is, you know. But at the end of the day, I do love the starters for the Steelers. However,
you don't like Broderick as much.
I don't like Broderick as much.
But who does, right? Like Broderick is the big wild card in this group.
I mean, it's more so of like his lack of development I don't like so much. I still think he could be a great role player.
Yeah.
However, the depth of the Steelers offensive line, we kind of seen it in these couple first preseason games.
It's rough.
It's a little bit rough. So that's what concerns me, especially given injury history before.
Yeah, now, I think Spencer Anderson, pretty decent backup interior player. And then when you get Calvin Anderson back, this team gave him a $4 million contract to be the swing tackle. We haven't seen him at all in the preseason to this point. So those two guys are the first line of defense. I think those guys are fine. But, obviously you're hoping for a big step from Broderick Jones. I think he's shown some development in these first 2 preseason games. He's still dipping his head a little bit too much, which you don't love to see. But he is doing a much better job pacing his pass sets, in my opinion. He's not rushing as much as he was on the right side. He looks a lot more comfortable over there on the left because that's where he played his entire career before he got to Pittsburgh. And then Fautano looks like a Pro Bowler over there on the right side. He's just stuffing everybody. It's awesome to watch. And apparently McCormick's been playing really well in camp. Frazier looks really good as a blocker. The snapping issues still need to get better, but that's certainly a talking point right now. And then, Seimalu is one of the more solid guards, veterans in the league. So I feel pretty confident in this group heading into the year right now. I'd maybe put it at around a 6 or a 7. They still got to prove it, but they do have a lot of young talent on here. And then when you add Darnell Washington essentially to this mix on early downs, I think you're looking at, a matchup nightmare for most opposing NFL defenses.
They will be able to run the ball.
Yes, they should. I mean, Hopefully. I mean, we haven't been able to see it in the preseason games, so people are starting to get worried about it. But as we've been discussing on this show for weeks, guys, preseason football isn't really an indication of how things are going to work on NFL Sundays, all right? So just keep that in mind. I think that, right now the offensive line might be the most underrated aspect of this Steelers team heading into the year. But we got our first Super Chat of the day coming in from Bernard Nixon. Says, I don't feel great about this wide receiver room. Well, here's something that I kind of want to say about the weapons group here in Pittsburgh, and maybe a misconception I think people have. Because the modern NFL is so wide receiver centric and spread centric and putting speed on the field, people really tend to prioritize wide receiver rooms over, say, like tight end rooms or something like that. But the Steelers, they're looking at the Kansas City Chiefs. They're looking at the Buffalo Bills. They're looking at the Baltimore Ravens, and those teams are very spread centric. And I think the Steelers are saying, if we don't have a quarterback at that level, like a Mahomes, like a Burrow, like a Josh Allen, like a Lamar Jackson, all right? And those quarterbacks just usually aren't available on the open market unless you get one in the draft, right? And the Steelers didn't have an opportunity to do that this year. So the Steelers are saying, okay, our best chance to compete with these guys on offense is not to, beat them at their own game, because if we try to play like the Chiefs here in Pittsburgh, we're going to fucking lose, all right? Yeah. So the goal here is to go in a completely different direction, try and really beef up this offense and put a lot of tight ends on the field. And the Steelers tried doing this last year, lots of 12 and 13 personnel, almost 50% of their offensive plays last year were with multiple tight ends. And I think this year we actually get to very close to that number of actually it being 50%. It might even be higher than 50% this year. I think they'll probably be number 1 in 13 personnel. They were number 2 last year with guys like Connor Hayward, and Darnell wasn't as good last year as he was this year. But Bernard, what's going to make this Steelers offense special and make them a competitive unit and make them a nightmare for teams to go up against is not that they have 3-star receivers that they can just spread out like the Bengals do and just throw it to those guys. They're going to win by having this 3-headed matchup nightmare at tight end in Jonnu Smith, who's a yak threat, kind of like a big slot receiver. Then you've got Pat Freiermuth as your mid-sized guy. He can block. Not the best blocker in the world, but he can block in line if you ask him to, and he's a very good possession type of tight end. And then you got Darnell, who, as we talked about, gives you an advantage in the run game, pretty much giving you an additional offensive lineman, but he's also huge and has really good hands to come down with contested catches in the red zone, on seams, all those different things. So that is the secret sauce that the Pittsburgh Steelers are bringing to the table. It's the diversity and the versatility of their tight end room, which is going to force opposing defenses to play heavier and slower, which is going to open up opportunities to Jaylen Warren. It's going to open up opportunities to DK Metcalf, these guys that can operate in space. And I'm excited to see it work, man. Like, people look at this wide receiver room and they're like, this isn't matching up with Cincinnati. This isn't matching up with some of the other top wide receiver rooms in the league. And I agree with that. But you have to realize that this is going to be a very tight end-centric offense and a very run-centric offense this year. And DK Metcalf playing kind of that quote-unquote A.J. Brown role, he's perfect for that. Catch a slant, the defense is in their slower base personnel, and he can run away from linebackers, all right? Like, that is going to be the plan for the Steelers this year. So I'm actually really excited about this unit. I think it's one of the more unique offenses in the NFL. Like, every team has 3 receivers on every single play, and they spread them out, and everybody does that shit. And unless you have a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen, you're not going to beat those teams, all right? So I like that the Steelers are taking a different approach, and they're trying something different, and I think that it has a pretty decent chance of panning out this year. $5 from Alex Lanier says, got my hat, can't wait to show it off. Alex, we appreciate your support, my friend. $5 to kick off today's show. Gets him into today's raffle as well to get a Steelers talk hat. $2 from CJ Ross says, got my jersey. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Somebody just sent me something. Did the Steelers just make a move? Harrison just sent me something. So Aaron Wilson says Gabe Davis has completed his visit with the Steelers. Still no deal here. So my guess is he's going to take his visit to the Buffalo Bills. He is slated to get a visit tomorrow in Buffalo. And we'll discuss that on our first segment today, guys. So we'll talk about Gabe Davis here in just a second. But $5 from Hat Guy LTs says random, but Mike Tomlin seems like he lost some weight. I hope he's locked in this season. I mean, yeah. I mean, if he's in good shape and he's locked in, that's only going to mean good things for the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. So, of course, we want Coach T to be healthy. We want everybody to be healthy, right? So
everyone needs to be locked in.
So hopefully Mike Tomlin is taking care of himself for sure. Maybe he's taking on some of the dieting advice from Aaron Rodgers. No sugar. I think he has no dairy. Like he has a very restricted diet. Aaron Rodgers does. So maybe he's on the Rodgers diet now.
Maybe got to make that a super chat goal for me and you to do that diet for a week.
Oh, I don't know if I could do that, man. I don't know if I could do that.
I don't know without dairy.
I don't know if I could do. I don't think I could do it without dairy or sugar. Sugar's tough, man. Like I really need to cut out some of the sugar. But if you guys want to get on the show here, we've already had some super chats come in. We got a couple more that have already come in as well that we'll get to here in a second. But if you guys want to get a comment, a question, if you have something that you want to talk about or you want me and Ponzi to talk about on today's show, feel free to send in a donation of any amount via Super Chat, Venmo, or PayPal today. If we can get to $50 total on today's show, we will give away a Steelers Talk hat. I'm not wearing my hat today, guys, but I usually wear my Steelers Talk hat. Ponzi's got one, though, over here, so we have a Steelers Talk hat that we will be giving away if we can get to $50 in donations today. $5 gets you into the raffle. $10 gets you 3 raffle tickets. $20 gets you 10 tickets, plus your name on the Steelers Talk Gong. It's starting to fill up with names. It's not a whole lot of spots left, honestly. So if you guys want to get on the Gong for this season, make sure you guys send in that $20 super chat. And then also every $50, I will be taking some lemon shots. And then if we can get the $250 total on today's show, I will be hitting the Steelers Talk Gong. Our goal every single show is to hit the gong every time we go live. And if you guys want to double your raffle tickets for the Steelers Talk hat raffle later today, you guys can go to Venmo at Jack-Sperry, at Captain Jack Rabbit on PayPal. The reason why we double your raffle tickets for Venmo and PayPal donations, guys, is because we get to keep more of the proceeds. YouTube takes a 30% cut of every single super chat that you guys send in, and then Apple takes another 10% if you're sending it on an Apple product. So if you guys send in your donations via Venmo, via PayPal, we greatly appreciate it. Because we get to keep more of that money, and that goes towards paying rent. That goes towards paying for new equipment, new graphics, all the different stuff that we pay for here to make this show the best Steelers show on YouTube. It's all thanks to your guys' donations, so thank you guys so much for supporting the show. But we also understand that not everybody has money to spend on a YouTube show, so if you guys want a free raffle ticket for a chance to win a Steelers Talk hat, you can just follow me on X today at Jack_Sperry. I'm currently going through my top 32 NFL quarterbacks list that I'm putting one entry out on every single day. So if you guys want to see where I rank the top quarterbacks in the NFL this year, you can follow me at Jack_Sperry as well for daily Steelers updates there on social media. We got a couple more super chats rolling in here. Ponzi, if you want to read this one. We got our first PayPal of the day.
Oh, got to give a shout out to Bob Locke saying the best channel in chat sports. I agree.
I appreciate you, man. We try and do our best here. We try to give you guys the best damn coverage in the world because you guys are the best fans in the world, all right?
Exactly.
So best fan base deserves the best channel.
Y'all make this the best channel.
Yeah, you guys make this the best channel for sure. $10 from Alex Lanier. Says, donate my tickets. All right, so he's got, what, 4 tickets? 4 now because 10 is 3. He put in a 5 earlier, so that's 4 tickets. So spam those me's if you want a free raffle ticket. Of course, Alex already has a Steelers Talk hat, so spam those me's in the chat if you want a free raffle entry. We got Chuck Dugan, we got Ali, we got Braden, DJ KJ, we've got C4, Steelers Dad, Sean, we got Donnie Faye, we got JP, we've got William, we've got Chuck, we've got Beast Mode, we've got Kirk, we've got Steven, we've got Ali, Steven Princeton. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to give one to my man Fernando Martin, otherwise known as Collapsed Throne. So that's 1. I'm going to give another one here to Elliot Smith. I'm going to give another one to JP. And I'm going to give another one to Beat Boy 14.
You're all in the raffle.
You guys are now in the raffle to win the Steelers Talk hat. And we do have that PayPal to get to eventually here. But Enzo coming in with a $10 super chat. 3 raffle tickets for you, my friend. Says, yo, what's going on, guys? I had a feeling from the moment Gabe Davis came to Pittsburgh the first time his age of 26, we were going to bring him in. But I ain't going to lie, I like this move. Is it official? I haven't seen anything where like they're signing him.
I haven't seen anything yet.
I'm pretty sure the deal is not done yet. Unless I'm missing something and I'm missing a report here from someone. I think Gabe just came in for a visit today, and tomorrow he's planning on visiting the Buffalo Bills. We're going to be breaking down the latest surrounding his situation in our segment today. But I don't believe it's a done deal that he's coming to Pittsburgh, just so everyone is aware of that. But Paul Boone coming in with a $20 Super Chat. That's 20 raffle tickets for Paul Boone, and that gets us to our first. And that gets us over the mark there to give away a hat today. So we will be giving away a hat at the end of today's show. It says, I need a hat, Jack. Doesn't Gabe know that he wants to come to Pittsburgh? Come on. He is wasting the other team's time. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I will say he did play very well in Buffalo. He had a very good connection with Josh Allen. And their wide receiver room, it's not exactly great. Like, people think of Buffalo as like this great offense, and it is because Josh Allen elevates the shit out of that receiver room. But they got Keon Coleman. He's okay. Khalil Shakir, really good gadget type guy. Curtis Samuel. They just added Joshua Palmer, who's fine. But, like, they don't have any, like, big-time difference makers in that room this year. And Gabe Davis might see an opportunity to go to Buffalo and be a big play threat like he was in those previous seasons with the Bills. I don't know, man, because here in Pittsburgh, he probably wouldn't play more than like a role player type of role. Like, they like Roman, they like Calvin. Those guys will be the 2 and the 3 if they sign Gabe Davis. Maybe he would get more playing time if he goes to Buffalo. So who knows? But $2, Bernard Nixon. I says, I don't get why Rodgers gets a bad rap. So he gets a bad rep, first of all, because people just don't like him. All right, people don't like him. A lot of people, specifically, they stopped liking him during COVID because people thought that he was telling people, including the NFL and his teammates, that he was vaccinated, and he didn't disclose that information to the team or to the NFL. That's not true. All right, like, everybody had to confirm whether they were vaccinated or unvaccinated with the NFL. Rodgers was in that unvaccinated group the entire time, but people thought that he was vaccinated because he said he was immunized during a press conference during the preseason, and then it comes out later that he got COVID. And then people were saying he was endangering his teammates and, doing all this stuff. But it's like he should have used probably a different wording there than immunized. But, like, the NFL and his teammates and the team, and, like, they all knew that he wasn't vaccinated. So, like, the idea that, like, he was lying to his teammates or that he was putting them in danger or anything like that, it's just kind of bullshit. But people, kind of just created a narrative around him based on that. He's also kind of aloof, and he likes to kind of, be private while also not being private, which creates intrigue. And people hate that, and people say he's seeking attention and all this different stuff. So they just don't like him as a person, and I think because of that, and you add on the fact that he hasn't been a top 10 producer at the position in 3 years. Not that it was all his fault during those 3 years. In fact, I don't think it was his fault those last 3 years. But, like, the reality remains. He hasn't been a top 10 quarterback in terms of the efficiency numbers since his last MVP season in 2021. So you combine the fact that they don't like him with the fact that he hasn't put up, great efficiency numbers, and he hasn't won at a high level, hasn't made the playoffs since 2021. People think he stinks. So that's kind of where the bad rep comes from there, Bernard. $2 from Andrell, hope I'm saying that. Andrell Dalton, I hope I'm saying that right, my friend. $2, appreciate you. If you put in another 3, we'll make sure you get into the raffle today for the Steelers Talk hat, or you can just follow me on Twitter for that free raffle entry. But we got almost 300 people talking Steelers in the chat room right now. And if you guys want to join us, me and Ponzi are going to be live on Thursday night. I think Coop's going to be joining us as well on Thursday for our next watch party. The preseason finale is going to be Thursday night versus the Carolina Panthers in Charlotte. So Skylar Thompson, Mason Rudolph, Mike Tomlin said today that everybody except for 4 veterans, Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, Cam Hayward, and TJ Watt, everybody else is quote-unquote in consideration to play on Thursday. So it looks like we'll see maybe Jalen Ramsey, Joey Porter Jr., Darius Slay. We'll see a lot more veterans out there for the Pittsburgh Steelers this week on Thursday. So we'll be going live for that. 6 p.m. Eastern time, an hour before kickoff, where we're going to have Super Chat giveaways, live play-by-play, instant analysis after the game, the whole 9 yards, guys. So that's where I'm at right now. And if you guys want to join us at 6 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, that's the next time that we will be going live. And here is our XP leaderboard here so far today. The people that have finished first, second, and third get extra raffle entries. So Alex Lanier's in first place right now. Enzo is in second place, and Hat Guy LT's is in third place. So spam that comment section. The more you comment, the more XP that you get, and the more you super chat, the more XP that you get as well. So the first place winner is going to get 10 extra raffle entries. Second place at the end of the show will get 5 extra raffle entries. Third place will get 3 extra raffle entries. And my man, Justin Yankuski. Justin, I haven't seen you in a little while. It's good to see you, my friends. Is over under. Pickens makes it to week 7 before he has his first incident with Dallas. Under. He might go to jail before week 7 for the Dallas Cowboys.
Brian Schottenheimer play calling will have him crashing out probably week 2.
Yeah, maybe week 2. We'll see. I mean, if they go 0-2, we might be seeing a trade request or something. $5 from Robert Locks is, never mind.
This one's already.
That one's already there? Okay, so I think we're all caught up on Super Chats right now, so I think it's probably a good time to get into our segment here. Now, you guys can continue to Super Chat. We'll stay live as long as you guys continue to Super Chat after our segment. But we only got one segment today, guys. It is a news and rumors segment. We got a lot to talk about on today's show, though. Looking forward to discussing the latest Steelers news and rumors with you guys today. So, Ponzi, are we about ready to go here? All right, he gives me the thumbs up. All right, so without further ado, let's get into our first and only segment on today's Steelers Talk Live show, the latest news and rumors surrounding the Pittsburgh Steelers. Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Today we have a lot of Steelers news topics to discuss on today's program. First up, Gabe Davis had his second free agency visit to Pittsburgh today, getting another medical checkup. I'll let you guys know the latest surrounding his situation and why the Buffalo Bills might be gearing up to steal Gabe Davis away from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then Aaron Rodgers had his media availability this week today in Pittsburgh. Talked about the Tampa Bay joint practice, Roman Wilson, and more. Going to be breaking down what QB1 had to say earlier today. And then we'll discuss a little bit about whether or not the Steelers should consider keeping Skylar Thompson as the QB3 of this football team over rookie Will Howard after a really strong start to the preseason. We'll discuss my thoughts on that later in today's show, so make sure you guys stick around. But make sure you guys stay locked in here at Steelers Talk, because if they make a wide receiver signing in the coming days, whether it's Gabe Davis, Amari Cooper, Odell Beckham Jr., or somebody that gets cut after roster cut down day, we will make sure to get you guys a breaking news video right here on the channel. So if you guys want the latest Steelers wide receiver updates, make sure you click that subscribe button for breaking news updates every time Omar Khan makes a move. So today, Gabe Davis, all right, free agent wide receiver, visited the Pittsburgh Steelers for the second time this summer. He visited a couple of weeks back, and apparently the medical checkup didn't look too great. But with the season, fast approaching, and Davis having a couple more weeks to kind of heal up from that knee injury that he suffered in Jacksonville last year, the Steelers wanted to do another medical checkup with him, because the Steelers are interested in adding him if they feel like his knee can hold up. But it was also reported today that tomorrow, Gabe Davis will be visiting his former team in the Buffalo Bills, who, of course, have Josh Allen as their starting quarterback. Jerry Dulac broke the news earlier today, saying wide receiver Gabe Davis having a medical follow-up with Steelers today, visiting his former team Buffalo tomorrow. Steelers had medical concerns when Davis visited the previous time. So, like I said, guys, Davis's knee was not in a good spot the first time that he visited the Pittsburgh Steelers, but the Steelers are still interested in a skill set like Gabe Davis's, so they're bringing him back here to see if the medicals can check out just before the start of the NFL season. But you take a look here at the Buffalo Bills, who are going to be hosting him on a visit tomorrow. At the time of me recording this video, Davis's visit with the Steelers is over, and he has left without signing a contract. So at the time of me recording this, that visit to the Buffalo Bills is still on. And you take a look at their current wide receiver room. They got Khalil Shakir, who's their number one receiver last year, more of a gadget piece. Keon Coleman, high draft pick for them 2 years ago, but he's just okay. Joshua Palmer, same thing. He's fine, but nothing special. Curtis Samuel, very similar again. And then Elijah Moore is more depth at this point. And, you take a look at the two wide receiver rooms that Gabe Davis is going to have to choose between. All right, which group do you think that he's going to be able to have more playing time with and be able to have more of a role in the offense with? All right, in my opinion, between the two groups, I actually think he could get more playing time with the Buffalo Bills than with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And honestly, if I'm Gabe Davis, I probably want to go to Buffalo if they offer me a contract. All right, not only does he have an established chemistry with Josh Allen, but also there isn't really an established number one X-wide receiver in that Buffalo offense right now. Like, you hope Keon Coleman can be that for them, but he could go in there, and he's an established deep threat with multiple seasons over 700 yards with Josh Allen throwing him the football. He's an established presence in that locker room, whereas in Pittsburgh, I think this team really does like Roman Wilson. They like Calvin Austin III, and they want those guys to be starters. So if he comes to Pittsburgh, he's going to be more of a role player, a rotational piece, X-wide receiver depth in case DK Metcalf gets hurt, but he might actually be able to carve out a nice role for himself as a full-time starter there in Buffalo if he goes back to his former team. Plus, the quarterback there, he already has established chemistry with, whereas with Aaron Rodgers, he has never played with him and will have to build chemistry with him very, very quickly. Honestly, if I'm Gabe Davis, I think I'm going to have more success in Buffalo than I would have here with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it's also possible that his medical checkup with the Steelers just doesn't go well again. I mean, there's been multiple teams that have brought in Gabe Davis for visits. The New Orleans Saints, the San Francisco 49ers, the New York Giants, Pittsburgh Steelers multiple times. All right, like if his medical checkups are not going in a good direction with all of those teams and the Buffalo Bills as well, like there's a chance that he just doesn't play for an NFL team this year if that knee is really cooked. We did talk about Gabe Davis and how he could fit in with the Pittsburgh Steelers in yesterday's show. I recommend that you guys check out that video after we're done with today's show if you want to find out what Davis's role would be here in Pittsburgh, what he does well versus what he doesn't do well. We covered it all in yesterday's show, so I won't rehash any of that, but I'll put the chip in the top right if you want to check out yesterday's show. So let me know down there in the comments section, who gets Gabe Davis? Is it going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers, type PIT, or is it going to be the Buffalo Bills, type BUF, if you think the Billies are going to steal Gabe Davis away from the Pittsburgh Steelers? This will be the pinned comment on today's show, so in just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at Ethos. While I'm talking about Ethos today, go down there in the comments section and answer today's pin question. And now let's have a word from our sponsor here at Ethos. And the summer before I started here at Chat Sports, guys, my family lost my late grandpa. And as you tend to do when you lose a loved one, you start to kind of think about your own mortality and what would happen to the people dependent on you if something were to happen. With today's sponsor, Ethos, your family is protected. Cassie and I are getting married soon, and shortly after that, I imagine we'll buy a house and start having some kids. If something were to happen to me, I want the last thing the people I love to worry about is being able to pay the bills. So I trust Ethos to keep them protected. Ethos is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. There is no complicated process, and it's 100% online. There's no medical exam required. You just answer a few health questions to get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos today. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily to get your free quote today. A big shout out to Ethos for sponsoring today's edition of Steelers Talk. So now Aaron Rodgers, QB1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, had his media availability today after practice, and he had some very interesting things to say about the joint practice session that the Steelers had versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week. We put out a video breaking down how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were the winners of that practice, but Rodgers had some very interesting things to say about his perspective from that joint session at Acrisure Stadium last Thursday. He said, "Failure is always best this time of year to learn from and be able to let the coaches go through it, let Art go through it, but I thought we started practice really well, not weak, sorry, really well in the 7 shots. Then Tampa kind of got after us in the team run with very correctable things that we kind of messed up angle-wise and one declaration. I feel like we got them pretty good on 3rd down, and we had a chance in the 2-minute and went 4 and out. But good film to work on, and they had their guys out there. The things that I loved was that they felt confident bringing a lot of different pressures, so I thought it was good work for us in the protection game. So last week on Thursday in that joint practice, guys, no fans were there. Reporters were not allowed to specifically say what was happening in the team drills, so the Buccaneers and the Steelers had full reign to run their full offensive schemes, run their full defensive schemes, and Tampa, a team that is really known for their blitz looks, with Todd Bowles being a really good defensive play caller, and the Steelers got to go pretty much a nice little dress rehearsal there before they're going to see all these kind of disguised looks, sim pressures, all this stuff that we're going to see from these NFL defenses once we get to the regular season. So going up versus Tampa Bay was good for this football team, guys, because Tampa is a really good team. They have a top 10 roster in this league. They're once again favorited to win the NFC South, and for good reason. They've made the playoffs multiple years in a row. Not only that, guys, but they have a lot of cohesion. Outside of Liam Cohen, their offensive coordinator, leaving, a lot of players are returning. They don't have a lot of new players. A lot of the players on their roster know how to play with each other and already have that established chemistry, whereas the Steelers are still a team trying to build that chemistry together, and hopefully they can develop that by the end of the season so that once we get to the playoffs, they're way more competitive versus a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers than they were in this early kind of preseason practice that they had against an established playoff team there in the Buccaneers. But Rodgers also said that he believes in the person that I believe will be the second leading snap getter in the wide receiver room for the Steelers this year, and that is Roman Wilson. And Rodgers certainly seems to believe in him as this team's wide receiver too, even if a lot of people in Steelers Nation don't have a high level of belief in the second-year receiver out of Michigan. This is what Rodgers had to say about Rowe. I think he's improving every day. You saw the results, and he went out there and made a couple splash plays, but we're going to coach him hard. He's a great talent, but that can make the difference. We're going to hold him to a standard of excellence. He has a chance to be a big-time talent in the league. So Roman has been pretty impressive over the last couple weeks or so in training camp practices, and he's had 2 pretty good performances in the preseason games. He's going to have another opportunity to show what he can do against Carolina on Thursday. And guys, I think if Pittsburgh can use him right and his skill set correctly, I think he can be an absolute weapon for this Steelers offense on the crossers that Arthur Smith loves to run. He is so good at getting open in those kind of crossing route type of situations. Now, if you're asking him to run the full route tree and all that different stuff, I'm not sure Roman's going to be able to do that kind of stuff. I think he is better in the slot than he is outside, where the Steelers are currently using him more often than not. But he showed in that game versus Tampa, he can just flat out fly, man. He's got 4.3 speed. He gets to that top speed very, very quickly. That acceleration is legit, and he can be a legitimate deep weapon that forces defenses to respect the Steelers' deep passing game in years to come. And I think that, based on what I've been seeing on the offensive film through the first 2 weeks of the preseason, offensive coordinator Arthur Smith is using Roman's skill set correctly. He's using him a lot on these crossing routes, using him on posts. He had that great intermediate crosser where he schemed him wide ass open last week for that other really big gain when Skylar Thompson hit him for that nice piece. Like, he's had some really nice routes throughout this preseason and throughout camp as well. And if they can continue to use him in that right way, I think that Roman Wilson, even though he is a little bit limited, I don't think he's going to be a number 1 receiver in this league. I think he's more of a secondary kind of complementary piece, and that's really all he's got the potential to become. I think he could hit that potential as soon as this year, and that would be fantastic if he could do that for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense this year. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comment section. Do you believe in Roman Wilson? Give me a yes or a no down there in the comment section. For me, I believe that Roman Wilson can fulfill the role that Arthur Smith has envisioned for the number 2 receiver in this offense. Do you agree with me on that? Simply give me a yes or a no to give me your opinion. So now let's talk about a burning question that a lot of people are talking about in Steelers Nation today, which is whether or not the Steelers should choose Skylar Thompson or Will Howard to be their number 3 quarterback heading into the 2025 regular season. Of course, roster cutdown days are coming. The Steelers usually only carry 3 quarterbacks. Most teams only carry 3 quarterbacks, and somebody has to be designated to the practice squad. And, there's some debate as to which quarterback should get that QB3 designation. Now, remember, Skylar actually played in front of Will Howard when both of these guys were at Kansas State. So Skylar, has experience, being ahead of Will Howard on a quarterback depth chart. But Will was playing really well in practices for the Steelers before his injury, unfortunately, happened to his finger there. But then Skylar has really taken the opportunity to get all these reps in the preseason games and has absolutely run with it. He's got almost a 70% completion percentage. He's put up almost 350 yards in 2 games on limited reps as well, because even though he's getting a lot of reps for preseason, it's not like they're full games, right? And then he's had 3 touchdowns to just 1 interception, and that 1 interception was like one that was bobbled up into the air, right, by the wide receiver. So I think that Skylar Thompson's looked pretty darn good, and it even has Steelers insiders talking about him potentially becoming the QB3 for the Steelers this year over Will Howard. This is what Ray Filipaldo from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette had to say this week. Skylar's kind of forced their decision here. They honestly do have a very tough decision to make. They can evaluate the practices, but you and I both know Mike Tomlin puts more weight on these preseason games, and when you don't have anything to go by there with Will Howard, that's an advantage for Skylar Thompson. Now, listen, guys, I think that Will is going to be the QB3 when he eventually gets healthy. I think Skylar's played really well in the preseason, and I think he will be at least on an NFL practice squad this season. I think he's earned that right. He's been one of the best, backup, quarterbacks for any NFL team in the preseason to this point. But I just think it makes a lot more sense to have Will Howard be the QB3 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And, I think that the reason for that is that Will is the only long-term possibility on this Steelers quarterback roster right now. Aaron Rodgers obviously isn't a long-term solution. I don't think the Steelers view Mason Rudolph as any sort of long-term solution either. He's just a good backup. And Skylar Thompson, I don't think they view him as a future franchise quarterback either. And that's not necessarily to say that Will is going to get a chance to be this team's franchise quarterback or anything like that. This team doesn't owe him anything. He's just a 6th-round pick. But he does have some nice physical tools, and he was a 6th-round pick that even Aaron Rodgers has been saying could have a bright future. So I think that you want to keep Will at QB3 instead of Skylar Thompson because Rodgers is going to be playing as long as the Steelers are in playoff contention, right? As long as the Steelers still have a chance, Rodgers is going to be in there as long as he's not injured. But if it gets to the point here where the Steelers stink and they're out of playoff contention at any point this year, they may turn to a younger quarterback to give him a shot to prove himself before we get to the 2026 NFL season. And that quarterback, if it gets to that point, I would rather it be a 6th-round rookie in Will Howard versus a guy like Skylar Thompson who's already had his chances to be an NFL starter and has failed, and is somebody that's older, somebody that you're not really giving any opportunity to be your long-term franchise quarterback to. So for me, if Will Howard is healthy, all right, I have him on as my QB3 on the Steelers roster. And then I do want to keep Skylar Thompson on the roster. I want to keep him not on the 53, on the practice squad. I would like to keep him. But honestly, guys, I think that there's a lot of teams out there that could use a QB3 like Skylar Thompson. So the chances of him getting poached are absolutely there for the Pittsburgh Steelers if they want to put Skylar on the practice squad. It's a tough situation because Skylar's a good backup quarterback and you would like to keep him on the roster, but at the same time, Will Howard, I think, showed you more than enough in the practices, his command of the offense, all that stuff. He was outplaying Skylar Thompson in Latrobe before he got injured. So I think that Will Howard has to be the option at QB3 to start the season if he's healthy. Now, if Will is still dealing with that injury, you can keep Skylar on the roster to start the year and then put Will on IR or something like that, still keep him in the building. But I think that if Will Howard is healthy and ready to go for week 1, he's got to be the QB3 of this football team. So who will be the QB3 for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year? I think it's going to be Will Howard if he's healthy, but let me know what you guys think. Down there in the comment section, type WH for Will Howard or type ST for Skylar Thompson. I think Skylar's had a hell of a preseason. I think he's going to be on some sort of roster for an NFL team this year, whether it's practice squad or 53. I think he's earned that right, but I do think for the Steelers situation in particular, Will Howard tends to make more sense. Now, before I go here, I do have some final items to discuss with you guys on today's show. We'll start here with Cam Hayward, who actually practiced not only in individual periods today at Steelers practice, but for the first time in many weeks has participated in team drills today. So that means, the periods where, it's essentially scrimmage reps. And he was in full pads today. He was working with the ones, and he's working his way back to really being ready for that week 1 matchup versus the New York Jets. Now, the reason why that's significant, guys, is because Cam hasn't been participating in these team drills, for a long time, since the first week we were in Latrobe, because he's been looking for a pay raise. Now, the fact that he's at practice either means A, the Steelers and Cam are getting close to a pay raise agreement, or B, he has kind of accepted the fact that he's not getting a pay raise after signing a contract last offseason. But no matter what, guys, it does appear that Cam will be out there playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers when they line up versus the New York Jets in week 1. However they resolve this situation, whether they give him a pay raise or not, it certainly seems like Cam is going to be ready to go. And then also we have a little bit of an injury update here from Jerry Dulac on long snapper Christian Coots, who apparently has a sternum fracture and is going to be out for a couple of weeks. But Jerry also says that he could conceivably return for the season opener against the New York Jets. So hopefully we hope Kuntz gets better as soon as possible. But if he can't go, it's going to be Jake McQuaid, who they just signed yesterday as their next long snapper up. So he'll be able to get some snaps and some reps on Thursday versus the Carolina Panthers. He has a lot of experience as an NFL long snapper. He's played in a lot of games as a long snapper for a bunch of different teams. So if Kuntz can't go, I think McQuaid can hold down the fort for a couple of weeks. And then also Mike Tomlin said today at his press conference that Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, Cam Hayward, and TJ Watt are not in consideration to play versus the Panthers on Thursday. Dave Canales, the Panthers head coach, has already said his starters, or most of them, will not be playing on Thursday night. But we could see guys like Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, Joey Porter Jr., and some other players we haven't seen so far during the preseason when we go live there on Thursday night for our Steelers Talk Watch Party. So if you guys want to click that subscribe button and join us for our Steelers Talk Watch Party on Thursday, we'll be going live at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And we also have extensive Steelers coverage for you guys on this channel for free, just like we gave to you today. So if you want to click that subscribe button, join the Steelers Talk family today, we would greatly appreciate it. Until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers. First segment out of the way. That was definitely a lot to talk about on our one and only segment here today, Ponzi. But I think we got quite a few super chats to get to as well.
We have a lot.
Good. All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk some Steelers football. All right. Hat Guy LT says, is it true Shedeur requested a trade? I haven't seen anything on that. I don't think that's true.
I don't think that's true at all.
I think that's probably from a Shedeur fan account that's pissed that they named Joe Flacco
Shedeur
the starter.
Sanders, TB12.
I don't know, man. I watched his film from that first preseason game where everyone was saying he was lighting it up. He had some nice throws that went viral on social media. There was also a lot of bad on that film, all right? There was a lot of dinking and dunking. There was a lot of one-read quarterbacking. There was a lot of stuff that, definitely doesn't point to him being ready to be an NFL starter. So I think the Browns actually probably made the right call, Ponzi, by going with Joe Flacco.
I think that's an obvious right call.
He's Joe Flacco. He's like a replacement level starter, high-end backup type. But, he's better than anything else that they got on that roster right now.
I agree.
And the big question is he going to be the starter when we play them week 6? Is he going to be able to hold on to that job for the first 5 weeks of the season? I don't know. I don't know if he will. They might be 0-4. They might be 0-4, 0-5.
Who starts for the Browns after Joe Flacco? I think it's got to be Pickett.
Pickett, probably. See if he can be a potential long-term option because he's still very young. So he could theoretically, if he plays well, he could be their guy moving forward. Theoretically, I don't think he would. I think he would stink. But to be fair, I think all these guys would stink in that Cleveland offense because it looks like Judkins might not be signed before the season now. Their receiver room stinks. Outside of Jerry Jeudy, yeah, man, that team's going to be brutal this year, I think. We did get a Venmo here, so I'll send this to you. But if you want to go to the next super chat, go ahead.
When is roster cut down? Amari hopeful still. CJ Ross, thank you for the $2.
I believe it's next Monday, isn't it?
I think so.
Well, let me just double check that. It is August 26th, so that is a week from today.
So next Tuesday.
So it's next Tuesday is roster cut down day. So that's going to be a day to really keep your eye out for because, there's certain receivers around the league that could get cut that the Steelers may consider bringing in.
I know we talked about John Mechie.
But he got traded.
He got traded.
Yeah, so that's not a possibility.
Yeah, I know. We were
the name that's been the name that's been thrown out there by a certain radio host in Pittsburgh, Pony. He said that the Steelers would consider Jalen Polk, who was a second-round pick last year, but he sucks. He's terrible. He can't catch. He doesn't have necessarily great size. He's not great after the catch. He
got
sucks.
outperformed by a significant amount of receivers on that team that were undrafted and in the later rounds.
Last year, that was one of the worst wide receiver rooms I can remember. And he got outperformed by a number of undrafted guys in New England. There's a reason why they're getting ready to cut him. It's because he stinks. So if the Steelers bring in Jalen Polk, he might be worse than Robert Woods. I'm not even joking about that. Robert Woods went from going into camp as most people seeing him as a roster lock. Some people even saw him as this team's wide receiver 2. To now, people are nobody is projecting him to make this team.
The fact that he played into the fourth quarter.
And Jalen Polk might be worse than him.
Yeah.
That's how bad he is, Ponzi. He's not good at all.
I didn't see him in that third string unit.
Exactly. Honestly, I would rather have OBJ than Jalen Polk. I really would. $5 from Misfit Trail Riders here says, do you think on draft day they are looking at quarterback? And who do you think at this moment is a good prospect? Are we looking at a quarterback battle between Howard? So 3 different questions there. I'll answer them one at a time. Do I think they'll be looking at quarterback? Yes, I do. Okay. Yeah. Even if Rodgers does come back for another season, which, by the way, I think is possible, he's alluded to the idea that this is probably his last season. But, I can still see a scenario where, they're a really good team this year. They win, 11, 12, 13 games, and then they come up just short of the Super Bowl. I could see Rodgers come back for another season in that scenario if he feels like they're really close. But another thing that I'll say here is if Rodgers does come back, they still need a long-term answer at the position.
Yeah.
And what better mentor for a first-round rookie quarterback than Aaron Rodgers? He's been known as a fantastic mentor. Just ask Jordan Love, who wrote an entire piece for the Players Tribune about how much he loves Aaron Rodgers. Will Howard has been raving about his leadership all throughout the offseason. So, bringing in a rookie like a Drew Aller, who has a ton of potential, all right? And what he needs is somebody to mentor the decision-making, the mental processing area of his game. Rodgers can do that, and he can foster that talent into something that could be the next Big Ben Roethlisberger here in Pittsburgh, for example.
I think Aller is the best fit, going into that second question. I think Aller is the best fit for the Steelers.
And if you can somehow get your mitts on Lenora Sellers, that would be good. That would be insane. Some other good ones. Clay Klubnik is a decent option at this point. Garrett Nussmeier throws with great anticipation. He's probably pro ready right now. Nussmeier is these Shanahan and McVay guys are going to fall in love with Garrett Nussmeier, man. But there's going to be some more guys that come up the ranks before draft day next year. So I do think they'll be looking quarterback. We talked about some prospects. In terms of a quarterback battle with Howard, if you're drafting a quarterback in round 1, you're not putting him in a quarterback battle, at least not a legit one with somebody that was a 6th-round pick.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of investment, right? You don't start a 6th-round pick over a first-rounder. You just don't do that.
Unless you're the Colts.
Unless you're the Colts. But, Daniel Jones was a first-round pick.
I was more referring to the 1983 season.
Well, you just pulled that out of your ass, 1983. But, there's a reason why we're not living in 1983 anymore, right? People understand the level of investment that a first-round draft pick comes with. So if you're a first-round quarterback, you are going to get immensely more opportunities than a 6th-round pick. And, you may say that's unfair to Will Howard. That's just the way it works, man. If you invest a first-round pick in a player, you're going to give that player every single resource and every single opportunity possible to succeed. All right, and, I like Will, But unless he somehow gets in at the end of the season, which means the Steelers' season is a bad one this year, which none of us want, like he's not going to have an opportunity to show what he can do. Because if Rodgers gets hurt, Mason's going to play. And unless Rodgers and Mason get hurt, which is pretty unlikely, Howard's not going to be able to get a chance to prove himself before next year's draft unless the team stinks. And obviously we don't want that. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think this team is going to be very much in the mix by the end of the year. So unfortunately, I don't think we see Howard play a single snap this year, which sucks because I wanted to see him in the preseason. I like him as a guy and as a backup quarterback, but make no mistake, guys, like they're probably going to be taking a quarterback round 1 next year. $2 from Bernard says, do you think the Broncos are better than the Steelers? I would say no right now. I think they're very similar in terms of I think they have a better offensive play caller and play designer in Sean Payton. That's no slight to Arthur Smith, by the way. Sean Payton is really, really good at what he does. But they also have an elite defense there in Denver. Steelers have an elite defense, so very similar there. I think they both have somewhat limited quarterbacks. All right, Rodgers isn't the MVP, run around, do crazy shit type of quarterback that he used to be. But both of them protect the football well, good game managers, that sort of stuff. I think Rodgers is still better than Bo Nix. And we'll see how that Broncos run game looks this year with J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey. They spent a second-round pick on Harvey. So Sean Payton certainly believes in him, but they had no run game last year.
No.
So, I think the Steelers will be better this year, but they're both playoff caliber teams. So
I think both are trending in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree with that. $5 from Alex Lanier says, how do you feel about D. Jones and Indy as a starter? So talking about Daniel Jones. Listen, man, the reports coming out of Indy is that it was quote-unquote close. And if it's close, you go with the higher upside player. Like, what's the downside? If you think it's close right now between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones, then go with the guy with the higher upside that gives you more flexibility as a rusher. Now, Daniel can move, don't get me wrong, but like, he's the most conservative quarterback in the National Football League. And like, that's not just me, my opinion. Like, that is like average depth of target statistics over the last 5 seasons in the NFL. All right, like he checks it down more than anybody. Now, he can operate an offense, but like he just is afraid to throw the ball deep. So like you're going to have to go on very, very deliberate, kind of methodical drives, and that's just not how the best offenses in the NFL operate. The best offenses in the league are explosive. They can get big chunks. And, I just don't see Indy being that team with Daniel Jones in there. Kind of, Ponzi, what it screams to me is Steichen is afraid he's going to lose his job if Richardson is the starting quarterback.
Yeah.
And, like, he feels like if he can get to 8-9 wins with Daniel Jones, he can go to Chris Ballard and he can go to ownership and say, if you get me a real quarterback, I can get you to 12 wins. I can get you to 13 wins. Because we got to 8-9 with a terrible quarterback.
And I do think that, like, you got to feel like AR, like Anthony Richardson. I mean, what are we doing in camp? Like, that it's that close with Daniel Jones?
And honestly, I don't think it's that close. I think Daniel performed much better than him.
I think he did too.
And that's saying something because we've seen clips of Daniel Jones in these practices miss guys by yards. His accuracy is not good for somebody that's a conservative quarterback. God, man, like Anthony Richardson just can't be a good quarterback. He just can't be if you're losing a quarterback battle to Daniel Jones. $2 from Steelers 07 says, is Howard on pace to play on Thursday? Right now, if you believe the people on the ground, they're saying it's unlikely he plays on Thursday. Now, Tomlin left the door open for him to play, but like, I don't know, man. It's a short turnaround. If this game was on a Saturday or on a Sunday, there might have been a chance. But like now that it's a short week, there's not a lot of time to prepare or anything like that. I would say it's a long shot for him to play on Thursday, which sucks because I would much rather see Will Howard compared to Logan Woodside, who stinks. $5 from Andrell gets him in the raffle. Says, hey, Jack, how you feel if the Steelers sign OBJ? I just hope OBJ doesn't have his expectations out of whack. I think that if they bring in a free agent wide receiver it's going to be as someone that's going to be pretty much playing a role-playing role. All right, behind DK, behind Roman, behind Calvin. Because as much as people want to say Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin, those aren't wide receiver 2 options, the Steelers believe in those guys. All right, like Roman Wilson is kind of the perfect fit for that number 2 wide receiver role inside of Arthur Smith's offense. Somebody that can run block, somebody with good speed to run crossing routes, good hands, reliable hands, that kind of stuff. He doesn't have number 1 receiver potential, but that's okay because you got DK Metcalf. So I think the Steelers like their 3 receiver rotation with DK as their 1, Roman as their 2, Calvin as their passing down specialist that comes in when they go to their 11 personnel packages. And then another thing to remember, guys, about the receiver room, is it the best, and most complete receiver room in the league? No, but they have one of the best, if not the best tight end group in the NFL. And that's going to be the strength of the Steelers. They're going to be in 13 personnel where you only have 1 receiver on the field more than anybody else in the league. All right? First downs, you're going to see all 3 tight ends, Darnell, Pat, and Jonnu, on the field a lot together. All right? And then even on second downs, you're going to see a lot of 12 personnel with Jonnu and Pat out there. All right? In the red zone, you're going to see Darnell out there a shit ton. Like, this is going to be a tight end-centric offense with DK Metcalf playing that every down role. So the number 2 and number 3 receiver roles in this offense are not as important as teams that play a lot of spread, as teams that play a lot of 3 receiver packages like most teams do in the NFL. So I think the Steelers' wide receiver room is perfectly fine for what they want to do. The only vulnerability they have, Ponzi, is what happens if DK Metcalf gets hurt. They don't have anybody else in this room that can feasibly play X.
No.
If he gets injured. So that's why they're looking at guys like OBJ. That's why they're looking at guys like Gabe Davis. All right, because those guys can play the X position if called upon. They won't be starters if they sign here, but like OBJ, somebody that's a longtime starter in this league, has a little bit of chemistry with Aaron Rodgers, being a really good friend of his. If he comes here as a role player and he's willing to accept that role as a former superstar in this league, I would be fine with OBJ on the vet minimum.
I mean, I think I'm fine with Gabe Davis or OBJ on the vet minimum. I mean, Amari Cooper kind of fills that X role, but not really, just because in the
he doesn't run block too.
That's exactly the point.
The Steelers, and he would want an every down role. That's the thing about Coop, is that Coop still views himself as like a legitimate, at least number 2 receiver. So like, if the Steelers come to him and say, "Hey man, we need you to play wide receiver 4 because we believe in Roman Wilson and Calvin, and we don't want to bench them," he's going to say, "Fuck you guys." And that's within his right to do so, right? So I think Gabe Davis is the perfect fit because if DK goes down with an injury, Gabe is not a great player that's going to be like expecting starting reps, but he's good enough where he can play that X role in the meantime, right? So that's why I like the Gabe Davis idea. And OBJ, I think would be my second choice there. Gabe is a more true X. OBJ is not quite as big. He's 5'11", whereas Gabe is like 6'3". So I would prefer Gabe Davis to OBJ, but if OBJ is willing to come here and be a role player in a depth piece, you could do a lot worse as a backup receiver than OBJ. $10 from Kirk Crater, getting him 6 raffle tickets here. What do you got for me here, Kirk? It says bubble players: Beanie, Trice, Castro, Sermon, Miller, Woods. Who will be biggest surprise cut or someone else? So that's a good question. So let's just go through the names here. I think Miller's making the team. Scotty has played so well in practices and in these preseason games. He's got to make it. Beanie, it depends on Dante Kent.
Yeah.
If Dante Kent, their 7th-round rookie out of Central Michigan, comes back and he was limited today at practice, if he comes in and he has a really good 3rd preseason game and Beanie doesn't, I think the chances of Beanie not making the team go up. But I think if I'd have to predict it right now, Beanie makes this team as a backup slot. All right. Trice, that one's tough because he just hasn't practiced. And, like, the Steelers might just be done dealing with his injury stuff.
The best availability is availability.
And he just hasn't been able to do that. So maybe they try putting him on practice squad, and if someone poaches him, they poach him. So that one's going to be an interesting one. Castro, I would say probably a practice squad stash They like Chuck Clark as a backup safety. So I would say Castro probably practice squad. Sermon, I would say maybe practice squad. Probably not making the team. Woods, I think he just gets straight up cut. So if out of that list, probably most surprising cut might be Corey Trice.
Yeah.
Because I think, the coaching staff likes him. The fan base likes him. I like him as a player. You just got to stay healthy, man. And, he hasn't been able to do that. And guys like James Pierre have really made the most of their opportunity during training camp and, this offseason. And Brandon Echols is certainly making this team. So we'll see what ends up happening. But, there's definitely going to be some interesting battles going on Thursday. So $5 from Andrell Dalton.
No, we already got this one. We're just
we already
trying
got
to get
this
it
one?
refresh.
All right, cool.
We did get another one, but I'm trying to get it to refresh.
But like I said in our first video, Ponzi, if I'm Gabe Davis, I want to go to Buffalo.
I mean, it just makes sense.
If you're telling me I can go play with the quarterback that I already have a ton of chemistry with, and I have a chance to be a potential full-time starter with that group.
I mean, it's just one of those things too, where it's if he didn't sign today, he wasn't going to sign with the Steelers at all, in my opinion. Just because Buffalo is so enticing.
Or maybe it's if anything, Pittsburgh seems like his second favorite option.
Exactly. If Buffalo rejects him.
Yeah, if Buffalo says no, and the Steelers are like, we'll sign you, he'll be like, all right, fine. But, it's either A, the medical checkup did not go well again today, or B, he wants to go to Buffalo and he wants to give them a shot when he's there tomorrow. So We'll see. But $5 from Michelle says, do you think the Steelers brought in Kenny to replace so he's talking about Kenny Willekes, the UFL edge rusher that they signed today to replace Sawyer, or because Herbig is hurt, Gabe doesn't sign, who would be the wide receiver you'd want? It's mostly because Herbig is hurt. They're going to keep Sawyer on the roster, all right? Even though Sawyer's had not a great preseason, he's played pretty well in the practices, and I do think he's decent as a fourth edge rusher that you can rotate in on rush downs because he is a good run defender, all right? Where his skill set doesn't necessarily meet up to standards from a starting perspective is as a pass rusher. So I think Sawyer's more of a fourth edge rusher, but because Herbig is hurt and TJ's not playing during the preseason game, you needed another name and another body in there to play in the preseason game on Thursday. So that's pretty much why they brought in Willekes. $5 from Justin Yankuski says, how has the O-line been in camp and preseason, specifically Broderick? O-line in general, I'd say first team unit has looked okay, especially in pass protection. Now, I would say the O-line still needs a little bit of room to go in terms of the run blocking. Second team unit has looked like hot garbage because Ryan McCollum has been out with injury. Calvin Anderson, the backup tackle, has been out with injury. Doug Nestor has been out there as the number two in the number 2 unit, and he sucks. So when it comes to the starting offensive line, I'll go left to right. Broderick is not perfect, but you can tell he's better on the left side than he is on the right. You can just tell it just in the pacing of his pass protection sets. He looks better. Footwork looks better. Hand placement looks better. He's not perfect. He still has his lapses, but he looks a lot better. Okay. Then at left guard, you got Seumalo, who's super solid. No questions about him. Frazier, only question regarding him is the snaps. Tons of low snaps has been an issue for him. He needs to get that figured out. And then you got McCormick, who's had a very solid camp. He's looking pretty good, like a legitimate starter. And then Fautano looks like a potential Pro Bowler out there. So Fautano looks great. So all in all, looks pretty good to me. If your weakest link is Broderick Jones at left tackle, where, he's okay, but not phenomenal, I can live with that. Because you can give Broderick some chip help. You can give him some help from the running back blocking, right? Because Fautano seems like he's going to be very solid on the right side on an island. So I think right now the O-line looks okay. And then when you add the element of Darnell Washington as a run blocker and you add that 6th offensive lineman to the run blocking unit, I mean, that gives the Steelers an automatic advantage unless teams play heavy against them. So I'm excited.
It's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough.
The Steelers are definitely throwing it back to 1970.
Yes.
Power mouth football.
And by the way, I think that's a smart strategy.
Exactly.
Play great defense, ground and pound football. That's what the Eagles did last year. Even though the Eagles play a lot of spread, it was very much a ground and pound offense.
And you saw a lot of checks into running the ball in the Eagles, and I feel like that's what the Steelers are going to do, especially if you got like your non-power base out there for defense. It's just going to be very difficult to stop.
Yeah,
with especially Darnell Washington out there.
100%. I have some people talking about the Odell Beckham Jr. stats last year, how he didn't really have much of a season last year. He wasn't really on the field that much. All right, Miami ran more 21 personnel, which is two running backs essentially. So running back, fullback. All right, they ran more 21 personnel than pretty much anybody in the league last year, and their two receivers were Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So OBJ is the number 3 receiver. First of all, didn't get on the field much, and admittedly, when he was out there, wasn't phenomenal, right? And that's why you'd be taking a chance on him. And that's why he would be a backup for this team to start the season. But, I do think you could probably do worse. I think Jalen Polk is worse than OBJ. Jalen Polk sucks, all right? That's just the way I feel. OBJ, over 200 pounds, willing run blocker, pretty decent route runner, good hands. All right, is he going to be the superstar stud that he used to be? No, not even close, honestly. But if DK Metcalf goes down with an injury, he can play X if you need him to. Is it a great option? No, but is he completely cooked? I don't know if that's actually the case, Ponzi. When he was playing with Lamar Jackson in the Ravens 2 years ago, he had over 500 yards receiving. He actually had a better season statistically that year than the season he won the Super Bowl with the Rams, where he was a good player for that Rams team when they won the Super Bowl. So, do I have a high level of belief in OBJ? No, but is it a possibility that he could bounce back and have a decent season as a role player? I don't think it's completely out of the question. Do we have another one here?
Yeah, it's just not loading again.
All right, that's fine. We'll get to the next Super Chat here in just a second. As long as the Super Chats keep coming, we'll stay live. We still got over 340 people watching Steelers or talking Steelers football with us here.
The real ones in chat.
The real ones are here right now.
Michelle also says O-line needs to stay healthy. Yeah, I mean, that's true with every team in the league.
Yeah, and, I'll say this. I think the Steelers' first line of defense is pretty decent.
Yeah.
Spencer Anderson, as a backup guard, is fine. All right? He's not a star or anything like that, but, he's been pretty solid in, the times that he's played with the ones this year, which has been a lot in training camp because of Sayamalu's injury, and he's been the number 1 left guard because Sayamalu's not playing in the preseason. At least he hasn't yet. So, I think Spencer's a good backup guard, but if you're getting multiple injuries on the interior, that's when the issues are really going to start to pop up. Maybe you think about putting Andrews Pete in there in that situation because he's played a lot of guard. But yeah, that depth after Spencer Anderson isn't great. And then Calvin Anderson, good backup tackle. They paid him $4 million over 2 years to be this team's swing tackle. So if he's healthy, that will be that's a good swing tackle option that this team has. But then after that, you got Andrews Pete, Dylan Cook. After that, you're looking at not that much. So I think the first line of defense is pretty good, but other than that, if you're going 2-3 deep into your reserves, it's going to get ugly for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year.
Bob Blanc said he doesn't really care if I can't get it on screen, but I'll just read it out. If I win another hat raffle, let Ponzi choose a recipient. Much love, Yins. So, Bob Blanc.
Sounds good. Bob Locke, real one right there. So we don't have any more?
I do not see any more.
All right, let's get the wheel going here, and let's give away a Steelers Talk hat to finish out today's show. Again, guys, we will stay live as long as you guys have questions and you guys send in those Super Chats.
You want to do a shot clock first?
No, that's fine. Let's just do the raffle, and if some of them come in, they come in. If not, no worries.
Okay. Let me just get this shortly.
But Ponzi's going to get the wheel together. We'll raffle off this hat, and then if we have more questions, we'll stay live. If not, we'll say goodbye for the day. It's been a good show so far.
Did you get any Twitter followers?
Let me check my Twitter followers here. I don't think I did. I did not.
Alrighty.
All right, so no free One's there. But yeah, I'm hoping the Steelers can get Gabe Davis because I think he's a really good backup option to DK Metcalf as an X. And I would be a little bummed if he signed with Buffalo tomorrow, but it kind of seems like he wants to sign with Buffalo, and I don't blame him. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But if Gabe Davis goes elsewhere, we might be looking at the Steelers trying to poach somebody in free agency or on the waiver wire once the roster cuts happen next Tuesday. Or we could be looking at an OBJ situation. I know that's not like the most ideal thing, but I think he's better than some of the other options out there. DJ Chark, I think OBJ is probably better than DJ Chark at this point. I think he's better than Jalen Polk, who's been thrown out there as an option for the Steelers, especially as an X receiver. So,
which is kind of sad considering he just entered the league.
Yeah, exactly. And he was a second-round pick and had such high expectations. All right, so we got our wheel. Let's see who comes away with this Steelers Talk hat.
And we are good. Ready to give away a hat?
Yep, let's do it. Spin it. Looks like Enzo. Enzo! Are you here, Enzo? Let us know. Are you here, Enzo? You have 2 minutes to reply in the chat. Enzo, are you here? If not, we're going to take his name out and we're going to spin again if you want to put my email down there in the L3. Donnie Fay says Rock Taylor. Apparently, the report is Rock Taylor did something. I don't know what, but apparently he did something during the joint practice versus Tampa Bay that got him in the quote-unquote doghouse with Mike Tomlin, and that was part of the reason why he was cut.
I don't think you want to be in the doghouse with Mike Tomlin.
So, like, is Enzo here? Enzo, are you here? You got
a minute.
You got a minute to go before we spin it again. Cheeseball 2025 says, is there any world we get Alan Lazard? Nah, I don't think so. The Jets have said they're not interested. Lazard has said he doesn't want to be moved, so I don't think so. Is Enzo here?
Got 20 seconds.
So Jacob is asking, what if they trade Calvin for a true wide receiver too? I'm open to the idea, Jacob, but what wide receiver two is out there available for trade?
About, like, Jawan Jennings? But I don't think that's going to get done.
And I think they would want Roman over Calvin.
That's what I'm saying too.
But I'd be fine with dealing Roman for Jawan. Jawan's an awesome player. But the thing with San Francisco is Brandon Ayuk's not going to be ready week 1. They got Ricky Pearsall, who they love. But Jawan is pretty clearly their number 2. And I don't know if they would want to downgrade from Jawan to Roman Wilson heading into the year.
It looks like Enzo is not here.
So Enzo has not responded, so we're going to spin it again.
Get these ones out.
Joe is asking Tyreek Hill, maybe, but like, I think at this point Miami's hanging on to him.
Yeah.
Like, listen, man, I am all for trading for Tyreek Hill or Jawan Jennings, but like, how realistic is it? I don't think they're.
The cap would work, kinda.
Cap would work. Steelers have a lot of cap space this year, so they can trade for either one of those guys, but they can make it work financially. But I kind of feel like the Steelers like Roman Wilson and Calvin.
I kind of do think they like it too.
And like, here's the thing about getting another big name receiver. That receiver's going to expect to be out there all the time, whereas the Steelers want to really live in 13 personnel. Yeah. Like, they want to be able to do that. And with Roman and Calvin, they have the flexibility to take those guys off the field so that they can play 13 a lot. Like, they're going to be in multiple tight end sets at least 48 up to 52% of the time this year. So, like, do you really need high-end number 2 and number 3 in this offense if you're going to be leaning on your tight ends that much? Honestly, you can make an argument you don't. So, we'll see. I would be all in, though, because Tyreek is a legit number 1 to pair with DK. Juwan is a legit number 2. That would be awesome for this team. So, like, if the opportunity is there, I would implore Mr. Omar to make it happen. All right, so let's spin the wheel again here.
Fair warning, if Bob Block wins, I do have a question for the winner.
Is this going to be Paul or it's going to be Fernando Martin? Let's go. All right, I have Fernando's information, so I'll get in touch with Fernando. Okay. Good stuff. Fernando, if you want to send me an email, feel free. Otherwise, I'll get in touch with you, Sperry, at chatsports.com. Appreciate you. We got a couple more super chats here
see that.
before we head out. So shout out to Fernando. But we got a couple more questions to get to here before we say goodbye for the evening. We got a $2 from Justin Yankuski. Says, will Packers cut wide receiver we can poach? Honestly, I don't think so, because there's going to be at least one receiver on the IR for them. That's going to be Christian Watson. And right now, they have quite a few injuries in that room as it stands. I think Romeo Doubs is dealing with a back issue, if I'm not mistaken.
Also, but he did return to practice yesterday.
Okay.
And today.
But he's going to make the team.
Apparently today, he had the worst practice that anybody has seen in the media. And that they said that he dropped like 15 out of the 20 passes in that Packers brass.
That's the thing about Romeo Doubs.
Yeah.
Okay, like I've been saying that I would like to add a Romeo Doubs. And if he's cut, I would be in on getting him. All right, like he's somebody that has a little bit of chemistry with Aaron Rodgers. He's a good route runner. He's a good run blocker. The thing with him is hands. It's just him and Dontavian Wicks. Those guys can't catch shit.
I don't know why.
So, like, Dontavian, I get it because he's got small hands. Romeo's got big hands. There's no excuse for him to not be able to be like this demon that catches contested catch opportunities. But, like, apparently he's just been really, really bad with the drops in camp in Green Bay. So we'll see if they cut him. If he's made available, I think the Steelers will be all over that. But let's just take a look at their wide receiver room here, and you tell me how many guys they're going to keep. So they brought in Will Shepard, a good hands receiver from Colorado, rookie. Dontavian Wicks, Jaden Reed, Savion Williams, Matthew Golden, McCole Hardman, Romeo Doubs. Christian Watson will be on IR, so he doesn't count. So right now, that's 7.
I think they kept
so they got to get rid of 1. Maybe Will Shepard. And if Will Shepard's made available, I would actually be in on him. He made some big plays for Shedeur last year in Colorado.
I do think it's kind of hard because McCole Hardman, you know what you have in him.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I'm Packers GM, I'm just like,
just get rid of him.
Get rid of him. I mean, get the younger guy.
But, like, if Doubs is really playing that bad and he has injury concerns and last year he was pissed that he wasn't getting enough reps.
That doesn't seem like a good Steelers fit to me.
I mean.
Kind of asking for a discount George Pickens.
Yeah, but, like, in Dobbs' case, he could, if he plays well here in Pittsburgh, he could theoretically be a number 2 option here. Now, who are you making the number 4 option, Roman or Calvin? I guess that would put Roman at number 4. Roman's hands are better than Romeo Doubs's.
I agree.
That's just the truth at this point. So
it kind of seems like, I don't know, like maybe Romeo and Calvin would fit that same type of role. Yeah,
they would.
So it's like,
but slightly different receivers. Romeo's more of he's more of a true route runner than Roman is. Roman's more of a straight line speedster guy, acceleration, speed, hands, crossing routes. That's sort of his bag, and I think that's kind of more what the Steelers want out of their number 2 receiver.
Yeah,
in this
they're
offense.
Not going to be using that.
Yeah, so they want to vertically stretch with horizontal crossers too. So $5 from Robert Locks is, can I get an outro? All right, this will be the last one of the day. Ponzi.
We actually have a couple.
Oh, we have a couple more. We'll do a Here We Go Steelers after these super chats here Robert.
Whenever they load, eventually.
Whenever they load. Let's just read them.
So $2 from Bernard Nixon. Last 10 games of Rodgers last year, 18 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That's something you talked about a lot.
Yeah, like down the stretch, he played really well. He still had some throws. Like, here's the thing about Rodgers. He's always been able to protect the football. All right, that's always something that you're going to get with Rodgers, and that's one of the reasons why I love him here in Pittsburgh, because he's not going to lose you games, okay? Like, that was one of the reasons why Kenny Pickett was able to win games here. It's one of the reasons why Russell Wilson was able to win games this year. It's why Justin Fields won some games last year, because the defense plays well, and you don't turn the football over, you're going to have a chance to win pretty much any game you play. All right, so Rodgers is going to give this team that chance to win games if this defense lives up to its billing. And down the stretch, Rodgers looked really pretty decent, especially with Devontae Adams in the fold, and he added that extra weapon to the offense. Like, you know, he kind of made lemonade out of lemons down the stretch.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, even though, you know, overall his production over the last 3 years, obviously not on the same level as some of these other top guys, I still think, you know, we've talked about this before, Bernard, I absolutely think Rodgers could have a bounce-back season this year and play like borderline top 10 level quarterback play.
I don't think the Steelers are asking him to be the clutch master that we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
But
we're not asking him to be league MVP.
Exactly. They're just asking, you know, do your job, get the ball down the field, get the guys who are open,
be a bus driver.
Hand the ball off.
Be a bus driver. You know,
exactly.
Don't crash the bus. Just, you know, you don't have to be the bus. Just drive it.
As the Packers asked him and the Jets kind of asked him these last couple of years to be the bus.
Yes. They asked him to be the bus and to be the reason why those teams would win football games. That's not the case here in Pittsburgh. So I think this is the perfect situation for him. That's one of the reasons why I was leading the charge this offseason, guys. Like a lot of people are like, let's bring back Justin Fields, or let's bring back Russell Wilson, or let's bring in somebody else. We don't want old man Rodgers. And I was like, no, let's bring in Rodgers, man. Like, he fits what this team needs out of the quarterback position to a T. All right, he fits our timeline. He fits our play style. He's still got really great arm talent, protects the football. I think it's going to work out. All right, we'll see. He has to prove it. But I think we might be talking about him once again as at least a top 15 quarterback this season. $10 from Interstellar Reaper says, Jack, what are your thoughts on our struggling run game now that we know it's not our offensive line or Najee Harris? I believe it's a handoff issue. Now the handoff is angled. That's an interesting theory there, Interstellar. But my take on it is we haven't really seen the run game go. And like, here's the thing about run game drills in training camp. Nobody looks good at them. No. The reason why that is because people will look at the clips and they'll see, okay, the first person to contact the receiver is at like 2 yards past the line of scrimmage. And that's on a good run, right? But in the NFL, the way that you really tend to get good runs is you don't get a wide open lane and you run through it. It's you have a guy make a guy miss. All right. So in an actual game, Jaylen Warren, whose superpower is making guys miss, contact balance, that type of stuff, doesn't get highlighted in these practices. And then in the preseason games, we haven't seen Jaylen Warren, right? And then, in the preseason games as well, a majority of the snaps that we've seen have come with the second team offensive line without Darnell Washington out there. And Darnell, I can't stress how important he is to this run game this year, because he gives you a huge advantage as pretty much another offensive lineman out there. This guy's 300 pounds as a tight end. All right. So like, you get 6 blockers up front for your running back. You have a running back that's really good at making guys miss and has excellent contact balance and cutting ability. Like, I think that, with all the reports coming out of camp that this is not going well run game-wise, all that stuff, I don't think it's real football. I don't think it's really going to be showing off of what this team's going to be capable of in the run game. And I think that once we get to week 1 and these Jets players have a tough time handling Jaylen Warren, I think we're going to find out this run game can be pretty damn good this year.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the running game is just – you look at the way that the Steelers are just going to play the football this year, I'm actually really excited. We haven't seen this in
long time.
I can't remember
the
last time.
We haven't seen a 12, 13 personnel base offense in the NFL in a while.
No, we haven't.
Like maybe last time was San Francisco one of these years.
I don't know.
But like a lot of teams don't love to play 12 and 13 all that often. Most NFL teams play spread and lots of 11.
The last time I think I can remember is the Vikings.
Yeah, maybe 11. Yeah.
With AP.
Yeah, that sounds about right. All right, man. Well, that's going to be it for our show. Thank you guys so much for joining us here this afternoon. We'll be back on Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern, for our live watch party, our final one of the preseason. So make sure you guys join us. But I promised Robert Locke, here we go, Steelers. So here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. We'll see you guys next time. Here we go, Steelers.